Hello, friends. This week's Way in the Wilderness materials bring us a prayer for our devotional this week. Faithful Creator, as you delivered the Hebrews safely out of the long labor of slavery, so morning by morning you draw us forth into the new day. Hear us, O God. Your mercy is great. This prayer brought to mind the devotion that I've been reading lately. It's a book called Good Enough by Kate Bowler and Jessica Ritchie, 40-ish devotionals for a life of imperfection. And there's one in particular that I think speaks to this prayer from the wilderness. This devotion is entitled, Right After It's Over. On a long hike through an Indiana forest, I stumbled upon a spindly tree that had tumbled off a cliff. Walking in the cool caverns below, I could see how the wind and rain had eroded the ground under its tangled roots. But the tree did not simply fall. It snapped at the base and tipped over into the chasm beneath. Much to the dismay of my family, who wanted to keep hiking, I was transfixed. The tree didn't die. Or, as I announced loudly to my 6-year-old, the tree made a series of important choices. At first, the tree grew straight down, as if surrendering to gravity. After all, there was nowhere else to go. But at the point of breaking, the remnant began to thicken. It must have taken years, but its roots grew wider and deeper. And then, in a shocking act of hubris, the tree decided to try growing sideways. It added a few wobbly branches that stuck out utterly horizontally, like a gymnast's arms on a balance beam. More years passed. But at some point, the tree decided that sunlight was a good idea, and the only direction to go was up. This is what happens when you anthropomorphize trees, I said, shaking my head. But nonetheless, my eyes got misty as I traced how the trunk made a perfect U shape and rather impertinently grew straight toward the sky. Can you picture it? Perhaps you know what it's like to be pushed off the edge. By some gust of wind, you suddenly know your precious lives are hanging on by so little. The human condition is all thin roots and rocky soil, and so you fall. When your life is snapped at the stem, there is almost nothing to do but watch yourself break. You find yourself trying to remember to breathe. You can hear your own voice, and it might sound strange. Time is slow and surreal. Is this me? Is this really my life? In the aftermath of devastation, the best we can do is survive, try to sleep, remember to eat, keep breathing. Nothing will feel possible, but there you are, another day. Even that may feel like a miracle. There comes a season when you begin to realize, I could stay like this forever. Overwhelmed and broken. Who could blame me? Did you even hear what happened? It's unthinkable. The world I loved is over now. Our self-help culture will try to explain to you that this is the time to become better than before. Get back up. There are no setbacks, only setups. This is teaching you something or showing you a different path. Doors are closing and windows are opening. After all, you know, now that we're talking about it, you might even be lucky that this happened. After all, this is an opportunity. The deep evil inherent in the perfectibility paradigm is on full display. Your humanity is now a liability. Your grief and fear and confusion and fatigue are wielded as evidence of your failure. You are not only a person who has lost, but a loser. Please, please, please hear me say this to you. You are not ruined or broken or a failure. You are simply in pain, and God is with you. This is God's great magic act, in my opinion. The more we suffer, the more we can't get away from God's insistent love. When life's hanging upside down, we must try to send all available energy to the roots. Drink a glass of water. Utter the words, God help me. Try to get outside. Tell someone that you're struggling. Don't forget to sleep. It might not feel like much, but with these small acts of nurture and taking stock, you are like my favorite tree. You are letting yourself grow straight down. Grief is a long story. Someday, you might try to get your balance, stretching your branches out a little, seeing if you can reach and stay stable at the same time. Perhaps a short trip, a more casual conversation with others, letting your guard down. There will be days when you will be able to look around and ask, what is here? Where is there some ground to stand on? Is there anything that tastes good now, that nourishes? Where is there room to grow? If so, you might be ready for a turn. As my friend Nora McInerney says, there is no moving on, there is only moving forward. Yes, there will be days when it might be crucial to pull down the blinds and lie in the dark. But in the meantime, my dear, you are growing. You are tired and might be scared, and you may have lost too much, but you are not finished yet. Not today. Blessed are you after the fall, in this new and unrecognizable landscape, at the still point between what was and what's to come. Time has stretched itself, and there seems to be a future somewhere, but it touches you only lightly. Blessed are you right here in between, at the end that comes before the beginning, knowing that grief is a long story, and maybe somehow you are still in it, growing straight down in the dark where sorrow breathes best, where roots find their secret springs and crevices that are well hidden, where God's great magic act of love begins. Blessed are you starting to sense that maybe sunlight can reach you even here, and you reach out, finding yourself in a fierce embrace, and God's voice saying, you are not the bad thing. You are not ruined. You are not broken or over, nor a failure, nor learning a lesson. You are my suffering one, and you are loved. You are loved. You are loved. Blessed are you, may be ready for the turn, straight up. Faithful Creator, as you delivered the Hebrews safely out of the long labor of slavery, so morning by morning, you draw us forth into the new day. Hear us, O God. Your mercy is great.